Connection. In the words of Amy Cowan, Cattle Drive Live! CT, we're back. That's right. We're back. Hey, season 2, episode 10, big night. We've talked about this for quite some time now, and just as the world turns, it's all things Houston Livestock Show, which we're going to be able to incorporate the junior college judging crew, Blackhawk East in here, the big machine they have become as of late. Quite the success story they had this year, and then get to be involved with the Brahman breed with BR Cutrer. How about that?
You bet.
Miss
diversity tonight.
Yeah, it's a little bit of left and right, but that's okay. It's all things Houston and judging contest and the Brahman breed. Two big things they go on down there each year. So, but hey, we had a good week. You were able to come down here to the land of milk and honey in Oklahoma and take in the Oklahoma Youth Expo. What was your thinking there?
Well, steer show was great. The depth of quality in those breed steers and all the way through the crossbreds, just a great show all the way through. Ended up Thursday evening there with the grand drive for all the species, and I mean that is something to see. If you see that on the Walton webcasting, it's something. There's no doubt about it, but when you're there in person, it hits a little different.
Yeah. Hey, what about, and they haven't done it in 20 years, or I think close to 20 years. They brought those Express Clydesdales in. Wasn't that slick?
Oh man. Yep.
Yeah, that was
they
neat.
brought the big show supporters and drivers of that event in that 6-hitch wagon, and that was something else.
Yeah, and maybe we'll have some video for it next week. We could show the lights and the lowering the trophies out of the ceiling. It was pretty cool. But and just in terms of what we were doing, we were commentating the market steer show, and I got to tell you, I enjoy doing those. I enjoy sitting and visiting with you. I enjoy sitting and visiting about the cattle and watching. Particularly this week, getting to watch Jack Ward work through those things and getting to see what he was doing. And but I got to tell you, when that black and white steer hit the ring, Katie bar the door, Jack. That thing was legit.
Oh yeah. And he was shown by Sadie Wynn down there from Newcastle, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And full sib to the champion steer at Fort Worth, I heard.
Yep. That calf won the Oklahoma City show there at Cattlemen's Congress as well. So the trifecta with two full brothers, both of them were out of the Here I Am Bull and out of Brad Smith's 606 extra special donor that he owns with the Ward family out there in California.
Yep, absolutely. The reserve wasn't any slouch either. That young man, Ladd Turner, come in that first class of Division III crossbreds, and he was pretty easy on the eyes himself. One that was sired by InGod.
Yep. And like you said, shown by Ladd Turner, and that was a home raised calf, right?
Yeah, that's what they say. I think that family, Grant, his dad raised him with John Nelson.
With John Nelson, that's what I heard.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, you bet. And they set a record the following night at the auction, $103,000 to the champion steer, and that's 100% deal there. That kid walks out of Oklahoma City with a hundo in their pocket. So,
and then down there at the Houston Livestock Show, we're going to talk more about it later, but your uncle Gerald Buck was the evaluator down there. Tell us a little bit about what he had to say about that show.
Well, we just visited real brief, and we picked on him during the show. We were trying to time him and Jack doing 2 state shows, and Jack pretty much doubled him up on those breeds. Gerald just farted around down there, and It took him 3 days to get through those steers, but he did say it was neat. He did say that the experience going into what that Reliance Stadium or whatever it is, 74,000 people's kind of eye opening, and hopefully we're going to visit about that some more. And but no, it was really cool. But there was a particular white bull that had a pretty good weekend there too. The champion steer, another In God We Trust. Is that right?
Yeah, yep, that's exactly right. And then the reserve was shown by Tristan Himes, the young man that actually won Fort Worth, and that again was an In God We Trust on that one too.
Wow, 3 of the 4 champions over this past weekend at the major shows were In God We Trust. The other one, Here I Am. But hey, what about Avon Horn steer selling through the ring?
Yeah, brings a cool 1 million.
Yeah.
Exhibitor gets to keep what they say, 80,000?
80,000. Yeah.
Yep.
80,000. Yeah, I'd say that I'd have a spot for that. I don't know about you.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
but yeah, nope. 2 big shows. Great for the kids. Great for the youth of both Oklahoma and Texas. But I tell you what. Speaking of youth, tonight's first guest that we'll have on here is the crew that Black Hawk East.
Hey, what about? Were we going to touch on that tonight's sponsor?
Oh, why don't we do that?
Yeah,
Just run high speed right past Timmy.
Yeah,
That's hard to do.
Yep.
Shoot.
Schaefer and Nate Tice, the Schaefer and Tice crew there, they got there. They just started that sale at 7:00, so it's just getting fired up. But they got a tremendous set of fall heifer calves that they're selling, and then they also have full sib embryos that they're offering in most of those cases, along with some other eggs. So that lot 1 heifer right now, she's for sale. Relentless purebred out of his Dakota donor. We got another one down here. Lot 3 or lot 2 is a key female, a 24 carat out of his Who's Playing donor. The live genetics and the frozen genetics from the heart of Tim Schaefer's and Nate Tice's set of cows out there. You do not want to miss this set of live lots along with embryo lots. There's sure some stuff right now bringing worth the money.
Yeah, absolutely. When Timmy texted me earlier, he said, check out. I said, what looks good? And he said, hey, check out the lot 5 when you're scoping them out. His deal said limousine. Wow. And I'll tell you what, when a guy flips that on and you see the blacklist out of the Larissa donor, it's legit. Those guys are doing a great job. And what's unique is they're offering you the females, but they're also offering somebody the opportunity to buy full sib embryos to them as well. So thanks to Timmy and Schaefer and Ty's crew. And hey, really thanks to you for reminding me to check up just a minute. I was so excited to get to talk to Blake again on here. Hell, I was in high gear, and you had to throw a little anchor out the back for a minute. So, but
you bet. No, let's roll right in here to the meat.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's be joined at this time. Dr. Blake Bloomberg is with us tonight, and his assistant coach Tim Hubbard, and 2 pretty special students here. Blake, tell us who we got with us tonight, and hey, thanks for being on, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us. And Tim probably gets tired of being introduced as my assistant. He's actually my co-coach, so I want to get that out of the way. But Tim is a judge for me at Oklahoma State, and then came to Black Hawk about 6 months after I did, and is an integral part of what we do. And then we got Dillon Sheiss, I'll let him talk about his accolades here in a little bit, and then Ty Drach, who was the high individual in Houston. So 2 good young men from our team, and 2 of the leaders on our team that had a lot of success this year.
Gotcha. Hey, so obviously we talk about all things Houston, and senior college level ends at Louisville, and then I think junior college ends up here at Houston. Is that correct?
That's correct. So a little different timing. The first contest that these guys had as sophomores would have been at the National Bear Show, and then went all the way through Houston. And a little different, in senior college, we have one contest that decides the national championship. And in junior college, it's kind of the best 4 out of 5 between Kansas City, Louisville, Cattlemen's Congress, Denver, and Houston. So if you go to all 5, you get to count your best 4 scores. So interestingly enough, the students had done well enough where it really didn't matter how we did at Houston. We already had Team of the Year locked up. So I think in some ways that was good for us. I think in some ways that maybe we took our foot off the gas a little bit. But either way, I was proud of them for the year that they had and the tremendous amount of accomplishment that they were able to put together.
Oh, absolutely.
Blake, we're going to jump in on you here. What was it like when you made the transition? Two questions. What was the transition like from senior college to junior college, and the differences between coaching both sets of kids and both different schools? And the other thing is, what was it like stepping into a program where it was your alma mater, and you basically took the baton from a man that was, sure one of your mentors and somebody you've looked up to all your life in Dan Hogue?
Yeah, so that's a loaded question, both folds. So when I decided to make the transition and part ways at Oklahoma State, I had 2 options. It was either to come home to Blackhawk, or Colorado State had put together a pretty lucrative offer for Ravenna and I to go there. And it was a tough decision, and in the end, I chose to come home for 2 reasons. Our cattle operation being one, and not that I'm involved every day in terms of physical labor, and I'm sure the team members are going to get a chuckle out of that. But I'm sure Jake is somewhere laughing as well. But just the opportunity in the last 2 years to see more mom and dad, and specifically my maternal grandparents who were really close to us and still are, David and Editha Ray, and get to see them more and be involved a little bit more in the family operation. Then we were able to expand with Joe Porter and those things. So that time, and then for my kids to be involved with their grandparents, we didn't live close to either set of grandparents for our children. And now that Brecken's starting to show and the boys are showing some pigs, it was a hard decision for me. But yet when I look back, and when Dan Hogue calls you, I typically answer. And he called me and said he was going to retire, and he wanted he wanted me to come back. And when everything weighed out, Ravenna and I decided that was the best option for us to come back to Blackhawk. And I hit the ground running in terms of recruiting, because I made that transition in January of 2020 when Drach and Dillon Sheiss and their entire team were seniors in high school, and I was kind of behind the 8 ball from a recruiting standpoint. And we started trying to get them in here, get them to visit, put them together. And we're really fortunate that the rest is history. But Dan Hogue is the godfather of Blackhawk. And he's kind of one of the godfathers of junior collegiate judging. And he trusted me with the program. And that was a humbling experience for me because I was on a team here that had a lot of success. And then, as you know, Blackhawk, the name Blackhawk carries a lot of weight, whether it's a university or a community college. So I'm honored and humbled to be here. I couldn't do it without Tim. Tim is my right arm. He's my left arm. He helps me all the time. They will probably talk about him. I'm not the easiest person to work with because I expect a lot, and I get after him. And, we expect we want to win, and that's why we do it. But I couldn't do it without Tim. I couldn't do it without talented students choosing to come judge for us. But it's a totally different dynamic than senior college. When I was my dad, he calls me a talent gatherer, and that's what you do. I'm doing the same thing at Blackhawk, but when I was at OSU and A&M, I was more of a tweaker. They already had the fundamentals. I can still remember the first set of reasons listening, and boy, it's a little different at the junior college level. You're kind of still piece one. So,
right. So that right there transitions me, Blake, and maybe more a little bit for Tim, just even on this question. When Blake, when you talked about the recruiting, you were behind the 8 ball. That's the first time ever in my life I've ever heard a Bloomberg say they were behind the 8 ball. I was impressed with that, number one. Number two, talk about both of you talk about the recruiting of a high school kid. Are you looking for the unpolished diamond, the fundamental kid? What is it that you're out there looking for at your level?
Go ahead, Tim.
I think it takes both sides, to be honest with you. Like, obviously, Dylan and Ty were very successful coming out of high school. Dylan had won Kansas City, I'm pretty sure. Ty had won Kansas City. So you're looking at two of them that were very successful and came through very, very good high school programs. But at the same time, we've had multiple students that I've had come through my programs and previously at the institution I was at before and now at Blackhawk that were tremendously talented that never given a set of reasons before. I think the most important thing is they have to have a strong work ethic. They got to want to learn, have to be talented, and then with that have to be pretty good livestock kids as well. After that, we can teach them pretty much how to place 4 animals. To us, though, it means more for them to be good kids, hard workers, and also want to learn. So,
Hey, the biggest thing I want to know, Tim, I imagine you do a lot of driving on trips and driving van. What is it like keeping Blake Bloomberg fed on a daily basis?
it's expensive. It's time consuming.
Hey, I'm going to tell you guys something. You guys make fun of me. But our teams ate well and they perform well. I think there's something to it. I love Cracker Barrel. I mean, you can talk to all my past team members. You can Kendall, Ashley, Jesse Judge, Kylie Patterson, Tim, all of them. They'll tell you we ate well. But we also performed well.
At Oklahoma State, we showed up to a Mexican restaurant at 10:30, and he literally made us wait till it opened. So
you had to wait
that
till it
tells
was
you
open?
anything about his eating habits. We always eat at 11.
Right.
Gerald Callahan told me a long time ago, if you eat lunch at 11, you beat the rush. You can get in and out quicker, and there's some truth to that. We can be out judging while everybody else is eating lunch.
I love it. Love it. Hey, so we bring in Dylan and Ty here, guys. Congratulations on a hell of a good year you guys have had judging. Talk to us just a little bit about why Blackhawk East. I don't know that. Was it the attraction to Blake, or was it knowing you were going to learn something from Tim? I mean, talk to us about Blackhawk. Why?
I guess I've known Blake my whole life. Grew up with him and stuff, but being from Illinois, I mean, obviously I've seen a lot of Blackhawk and what Dan's done and the history that they have. And when I had the opportunity and Blake talked to me that he was coming back, I mean, it was pretty much a no-brainer to come back and be able to learn from the 2 best coaches in the country. And not only that, but the connections that you can build at Blackhawk, second to none. I think the support that they have and the alumni support's incredible.
Yeah. And Dylan, tell us a little bit about what you had for a year and what you got done on the road this year.
Yeah, we had a real good run, obviously, as a team, and we're kind of fortunate to be at the top end everywhere, really, except for Houston and Kansas City there. Personally, I thought, what made us unique as a team is we had a lot of individual accolades and consistency on the top end, so that was neat. I had the opportunity there. We were at 14 contests, and I think I was in the top 10 at 13 of them, so that was a good run there. And the 14th we don't talk about, but Blake says there that we eat good and perform good. We did not eat worse on a trip than we did at Houston, and we were 4th.
See, there goes my theory, boys.
So his theory is spot on in that circumstance. And to kind of build a little bit off of what Ty said, it's not every day where you have an opportunity where somebody like Blake and Tim both are at the same kind of a junior college. Blake dominated the senior college level, and I think several of us were pretty well set on going to Oklahoma State. And I had built a relationship with Tim at the previous institution that he was at. You don't get a better 1-2 punch with a cattle mind and a sheep mind than those 2 guys. So I thought, obviously, just an incredibly unique opportunity to judge for those guys.
Wow, that's impressive. So you guys walk me through the judging of the junior college level. You come in as a freshman, and you judge as a sophomore. Is that right, Blake?
Well, there actually is some freshman contests now too. Like Ravenna and I were on the same team at Blackhawk, and Tyler Weingartner was on that team, Brandon Yanis. I mean, we had a heck of a crew. And there really wasn't a lot of freshman contests then. And Tim and I probably approach it maybe a little differently than some colleges. I mean, we go to some freshman contests, but I feel like our main obligation is to the sophomores. So we kind of we'll go to a few contests with the freshmen, but they're kind of like that green skinny heifer that's kind of waiting to get turned loose. The freshmen are, and actually Tim and I just got back from practice with them tonight. We're getting ready for NACTA with the freshmen, and I feel like our obligation is to the sophomores, and not only the run that these guys had, but we had a couple students from New York who had minimal experience when they came in, and it kind of took them their whole freshman year to develop. Ty and Dylan were pretty far along, like they discussed. But yeah, Tim and I had a greener group as well that we kind of had to bring together. And that's the beauty of this group of individuals. We had 3 academic All-Americans, the 2 you have on here, and Kelly Spicer. And then Dylan's girlfriend was actually our high individual at Louisville. And but we had a next cut of kids that really pushed our top end. And that's what it takes to have a great team and a great program. Yeah, we were really strong 1 through 6, 7, but even our 8 through 15 on many teams probably would have got cards. And so it's a group that I teared up the other day talking about them at the contest. And you two know me really well, Corey and Brett. I'm not a crier. And what they have meant for putting our program back on the map and the dominance that they have shown, I could never repay them. For what the appreciation that I have for them and for choosing us. And I got a little emotional, and it's going to be pretty tough when they walk out that door here in about a month when they graduate. And I know they're going to do great things, but they've been program changers for us.
And it's also neat with the students that we've had and been able to work with. That team was very, very talented. And I know Blake had mentioned that there was obviously a group of them that marked, and then there was a group of them that were still very, very good. And I thought when we left Houston, one of the coolest parts of the experience is we had 2 of the top 5 alternates in the contest. And so I thought that was very, very unique from our perspective of just showing the depth of that group. And I can promise you that at some point you'll probably have some of these students back as industry leaders, hopefully in the future. So it's been a great group. They're very, very talented and can make great strides in the livestock industry at some point.
Right. Well, it was sure refreshing listening to that. And Blake just talked about Dylan's girlfriend, that she had some success too. So now I know that if, she's going to be probably as talented as Ravenna and keep, she's kept Blake in front of people and Dylan, you see what you have to look forward to as well. So, but, anyway, well, hey guys, thanks for being on. It's been our pleasure. It's Blake said it earlier, he's been on here a few times, but there's probably, in my opinion, I've enjoyed getting to listen to you brag on your kids and brag on your program as much as I did laughing and carrying on with you and your dad a month or so ago. This has been nice.
Well, and I appreciate you guys taking the opportunity to give the platform. And I know you had on the senior college contestants and coaches there after Louisville. And, in the livestock industry, I think the heartbeat of it is livestock judging. There's people that have different feelings about the livestock judging circle, but it's where a lot of us get our start. And I think it's one of the most important things that young people can do. And I appreciate you giving us an opportunity to kind of brag on our students because they're pretty special.
Well, we sure appreciate it, guys. Thanks for taking the time. And Blake and Tim, good luck with next year's team. Hopefully you can regroup and come back just as strong.
Thank you, Brett and Corey. I just wanted to mention one more thing because I'm sure we have some people listening. If you're interested in coming to Blackhawk, if you're a projected student, feel free to reach out to Blake and I or our recruiter, Kendra Myers, and we can set up a visit. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Perfect. Gotcha. Well, one thing about it, Blake, you mentioned earlier, you're a talent. What did you say it was?
My dad says I'm a talent collector. Yep.
And I hate to have to admit this, but
he's told me it's not too hard to be a coach when you got all the talent. And we've been really fortunate to get a lot of.
Well, I'm going to give you credit where credit's due. Outside of a talent collector, you've been a national title collector too. And congratulations, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Take care. All
That's
right.
some
That
pretty
was
big.
part one, Brett.
Oh man, part one was good stuff, and I can tell you, transitioning into what is part two of Let's Not Get Lost. It's all things Houston Livestock Show.
Yeah.
This next person that's coming in here is without a doubt. Yeah, it's just kind of wherever you want to talk. Do you want to talk about being the OG of all things print media, websites? I don't know. I mean, I call her the OG because I think that's what she is. I've been a huge fan of hers for a long time, but outside of that world, she has. I called her a Brahma breed icon, and but what she is she's just a true American success story, and it's on my pleasure to get to welcome Miss Rachel, and gosh, I'm going to tear it up, Cutrer.
Yeah, Cutrer. I get called everything from Cutrer to Cutrer to Cutreris. It's
Right.
I would like to say it's like fancy French, but it's actually Mississippi redneck, so that's what it is.
Oh wow.
Shoot.
Wow. Well, hey, it's our pleasure to have you on the Cattle Drive Live on a Monday night feature, and we kind of got our wires crossed, and my dates were mixed up, and luckily you didn't hold it over my head and agreed to kick back and say I could wait a few more weeks, and so.
Oh
But,
yeah, totally. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, so just real quick, I called you the OG at Ranch House Designs, and I want to talk about all things Houston, but I really wanted to hear from you real quick. Tell the Ranch House story. Why? How? So.
Oh yeah, so I mean, gosh, there's really no other way to start the ranch house story than really just saying like, I guess I was in the right place at the right time, and God gave me some talents of being really creative, but loving the cattle industry, and I found a way to kind of up, and I started Ranch House in '99. So I don't know, where were you guys in '99?
First year of junior college.
Okay. Well, I was a sophomore at Texas A&M, and my boss told me I needed to learn how to do a website. I worked for the extension service, and he was like, "Go, here's my credit card. Go to the bookstore and buy a book and learn how to do websites." So I bought Web Design for Dummies, and I taught myself. And then, so after I did that first one for the A&M Animal Science Department, I thought, well, I'm going to do one for my family's ranch, and so I just put one together. And then I had a lot of other stock show friends at the time who saw it and would ask me to do theirs. So like a lot of my shorthorn friends like Jeff Agater, Barber Ranch, WHR Shorthorns, Randy and Jamie Mullinex at Purple Rain. Those were some of my first clients, and actually all of those are still our client today. And so really just kind of word of mouth. I was one of the first people who started it, like you said, and we've stayed in business for the last 20 something years. Currently we do about 900 websites for ranchers all over the world. I remember when I started, like I would charge maybe like $200 to build a website. And I was just super stoked to get that money because, as a college student, and then that meant I could like go buy a new pair of jeans at the mall or something. And now it's turned into a huge agency, and we have clients all over the world. So it's crazy. But good.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll be.
And then,
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Brett.
Oh. No, I was just going to say, I mean, just in terms of print, you talked about websites, but, you were also in on some of the very first print media design of advertising. I know growing up in the South, we had the Showbox. And it was just so cool to see the little Ranch House logo. When you first saw it, and then all of a sudden it was everywhere, and it was just the creative side of you.
So I actually interned at the Showbox. It was about an hour and a half from College Station, and I worked there a lot on nights and weekends, and my job was scanning in show pictures because, again, like digital pictures didn't even exist then. And so Cherie really helped me a lot. I lived a summer with Ryan. I love those memories. And so I, again, felt like that the print advertising at that time was pretty boring, and I wanted to figure out ways to kind of jazz it up. And so at first, this is going to sound crazy, but I would take my clothes and put like a blouse on a scanner and scan it and then use that as a background for an ad or use that as like a background of a website. And then I found this thing of stock photo services. And that's when the stock photo service really is what kind of helped me really take the creativity to another level, because I saw you had the bingo ad up there. That was probably the game changer for me, is when I designed this ad for Matt and Troy. And I had got this photo from a stock photo service. I purchased it online, but up until then, like, you never saw anything like this in a print ad. And when it came out in the show circuit, people like freaked out, and they first were like, who is that lady? Like, who is that lady playing the bingo? And we told them all it was Matt's grandma, and that, and they went with it, because it really got a lot of people talking. And then I just kind of created a different style, something different than just your normal old show steer or things like that. And like you said, it was really kind of caught people's eye. I know one month in August, I think I did over 100 ads for clients at the show circuit. And I don't really do that much anymore, but these guys, Matt in particular, Matt was a real good friend of mine. He is a good friend of mine. And he helped me really build a lot of my client base. I went around with him to visit a lot of show steer producers kind of in the early 2000s. And it allowed me to meet a lot of the Midwest producers face to face. And one of my favorite stories is we had went to Joe Sullivan's, and I introduced myself, and he was like, "You're Rachel Williams. You're the girl that has Outhouse Designs." And I was like, "Oh, it's actually Ranch House Designs. It's not Outhouse Designs." But that's like literally one of my favorite moments, because he's so nice, And then I ended up doing his ads, and like just meeting so many of those people gave me a lot of opportunities to kind of let my skills shine and work with people that had great cattle, So just great memories.
Yep. And then, where I was going to go with that was you went from website designs, print ads. Now you manage social media for programs. What are all the faces of Ranch House?
Well, web design was our core business that I started with. And then I'm self-taught on everything. So I taught myself how to do print ads. And then when social media came out, again, I was working for A&M. And so remember the time where you had to have a .edu address to get on Facebook? I don't know if y'all remember that or not. Remember, it didn't used to be open to the whole public. You could get it if you were a student. And I was working there at A&M, so I had a university email address, and I signed up for it and kind of started noticing again, like, hey, I think this is going to catch on. Do y'all remember the time where you were like, do you like MySpace or do you like Facebook? I don't know. Were y'all ever in that stage?
I never was on MySpace. I can barely.
I never had a space.
I was a MySpacer, but I kind of, again, developed services for Facebook and helped people market cattle on that, and that's still a pretty big service. So a lot of our services at Ranch House do now focus on digital more so than print. A lot of people, as you know, they even question, like, do we need print advertising now? Which I think you definitely do. But most of our projects would be social, digital, website, stuff like that.
You got it.
Gotcha. Good deal. Hey, so as we transition out of Ranch House, and how many years ago did we transition? You get married, I think 12 years ago. You fell in love with some little old boy from Mississippi, they say.
Right.
Yeah. No, Brandon is a great guy, a great talent. I know Brandon, but just what he's been able to accomplish. I saw a really neat post. I wish I had it. You posted a picture of him when he was a little kid in Houston, right before he judged Houston this year. I thought it was really neat. Now, a lot of people don't realize that not everybody is blessed to grow up in the middle of this thing, and he's worked his way up to judge what is probably the premier Brahma show in the entire world in Houston. But talk about you guys starting your personal Brahman herd.
So when Brandon and I got married, between the two of us, we owned 6 head of cattle and 0 acres of land. I had a few cattle like that were mine from showing and stuff, but to back that up a little bit, Brandon's parents are not farmers and ranchers, but his best friend was a Brahman breeder from Mississippi, and so Brandon always tagged along with them. In fact, that's how he got to Houston the first time. These friends said, like, "Do you want to come with us?" And then they actually sold Brandon a Brahman bull that he paid for $50 a month, and until he paid it off. And so they were just, this is the Dickens family, and they were just the kindest people, you know. And then Brandon went to work for some other Brahman operations through high school and college, and we met through the Brahman circles. Well, when we had, before we got married, Brandon he had bought some embryos from another Brahman breeder. And so he had 2 calves that were born at his place in Mississippi. And so when he moved to Mississippi to Texas, he brought these 2 calves and like a box of clothes. And one of those calves is maybe like the foundation of the best Brahman cow family there is right now. So it's really cool because she was born in Mississippi, but we got married. So we showed her. She ended up winning Houston in maybe like 2013 under Jerry Douglas as the judge. Then in her first flush, she produced most famous Brahman cow there is, a cow named Boom Shakalaka, and she was a 2-time Houston champion, which has never been done. Her first daughter produced another Houston grand champion, and then her first like granddaughter was a Houston champion this year. So that little heifer that was born in Brandon's backyard in Mississippi has now produced 3 generations of Houston champions, which is like unbelievable, you know. And so that really gave us our start. And built everything that we have in the Brahman business.
Awesome.
Tell us a little bit about, Rachel, what the international part of the Brahman industry. That's something, you know, on the breeding cattle side, in terms of the continental and English breeds, we don't get to see near as much of, I know. Tell us about the countries that you guys work with and countries that are active, and kind of how that works a little bit.
So I feel like this is my moment in time where I am getting to talk about Brahmins to like the whole steer jock community. Like just the fact that you guys are talking about it, I'm so excited. But so actually the day I was moving into Houston, Matt Lautner called me and he was like, "Give me the quick answer of why Brahmins now." And I said it was 2 things. Number 1, the heat tolerance. So we don't think about them too much in the USA, but if you look at a global level, like 70% of the world has tropical or heat climates that require a Brahman influence to some degree, you know. So that is a big important reason. And then second, I think it's just the coolness. I mean, the way they look, you know, their features, their humps, their ears, I mean, their personalities. If you don't know a Brahmin, like every one of them has a unique personality. They're super smart. Like they're just, I think they're the coolest breed there is. And so that attracts a lot of celebrities and, you know, dignitaries and things like that, especially in the Central and South American countries, because, you know, I think in every country, if you can say you're a rancher, it's kind of a status symbol, you know. So people can have businesses and all of that, but, you know, if you can come home and have a beautiful pasture of Brahman cattle out there while you're entertaining guests from, you know, the government, it's cool. So that's kind of, I guess, the twofold reason Brahman are so popular. But yeah, so Houston Livestock Show is our biggest event. I think I heard someone actually say that the Houston Brahman Show is the largest single breed show in the USA of all breeds, because we had 1,300 head entered, and I'm not sure exactly how many showed up, but, you know, I mean, I don't think there's 1,300 Angus at Louisville. I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but, you know, that's a lot. And so I counted up last week at our ranch, we had about 250 international visitors from 13 different countries. And, okay, so this one I'm super proud of. This is the guy with the fringe jacket. He is the governor of a state in Mexico. He's the governor of Tamaulipas. And he was, you know, like one of our friends hanging out with us. I have to throw in here for women in ag a little bit. Like, these are 4 of like the top breeders of Mexico. And if you notice, the 2 ladies in the middle is who they're talking to, like, so it's really cool. How
Who's the other lady with you there?
The other lady with me is one of my best friends, Nancy Martin, and we own some cattle together. They bred the Bull Captain, and she's a esteemed Brahman breeder and quarter horse breeder. And so, I mean, it's really cool the way that the international community has accepted women in agriculture, because some people may not think that, especially with Central American cultures and stuff like that. But these guys are amazing. Like, we text and WhatsApp all the time, and it's just really cool to make those connections, all through the love of cattle.
Is this in your living room with the sweaty couch?
No, so this is our booth at the Houston Livestock Show, which is a whole nother thing that is way different. This is our booth. So when I posted this, Chad Breeding was like, how would this work if you had a blower hose behind it? So we set up like these super fancy booths basically for hospitality, and making deals. And so you can see here, like, we kind of have the white stand. That's where we do a lot of our deals. And then the couches and everything is just for visiting and, hospitality, just kind of a place to hang out and entertain clients at the show. Yeah, so I don't see that really getting set up at Denver or Louisville, right?
I don't know, because I got to tell you, Corey, Denver or Cattlemen's Congress, whatever we want to say, in the herd sire display, 605 has a pretty cool little display, I thought, this year. But that couch element, that little setting right there, I could see it working in our world.
We got to do some. We need to do some furniture shopping, Brett. There's no doubt.
Yeah. The only thing that's not going to work is the white couch. Not going to work in the black.
Also, I don't know if y'all noticed, the dumpster was like literally right to the left of the white couch, and my guys were like, "This is not going to work," but we made it work.
Awesome. Hey, did you see the little comment pop up here on the side? You've got an old fan that's watching you tonight. Jake Bloomberg pops up and says, "Hey, greatest Brahman bull of all time, Gator."
That's like an old bull. Jake is he's like a vintage Brahman breeder. I have to say that for me, the quote of the night was, "I like Cracker Barrel" by Blake Bloomberg. That was the quote of the night.
Oh gosh. Hey, we were talking about the international trade. It's big business in multiple countries that are involved. Talk about, and I don't know if specifically with you or just as a breed as a whole, there's a lot of bulls in the industry that only offer semen at that show, or embryos, or, I mean, the marketing side of the Brahman breed there, is that what attracts those other countries to that show?
No, really what attracts them is the quality of the cattle here in the USA. Because for Brahmins, America is kind of the hub. The actual breed is the American Brahman. And so all the other countries really come to the USA to see what the trends are in our breeding programs, and then, to buy semen, to take it back to their countries. And so, and our client base, it really runs the gamut of quality. Like, I have some customers who are breeding just the best cattle you could imagine. But then I had one customer last week from Pakistan that was buying some semen, and I was asking him, well, what are you looking for? Like, what are you trying to breed for? And he said he was trying to breed for muscle in the round, because there's a lot of people that need to eat beef in Pakistan. I mean, and literally that's like the most basic reason for selecting cattle, right? Is you want muscle in the round for people to eat beef. And so it ranges from all of those gamuts. Some of our countries that we work with, like last week we had the Chinese embassy here from Washington, D.C., and they they showed up in business suits. It was like super awesome. Oh yeah. Okay. So I sent that in, and their problem or their reason for visiting is that they said they have a huge growing population in China. They need to produce more food to feed their people, and they want to improve their beef industry, and so they're looking to Brahman and a heat tolerant breed to do that. And so that was pretty cool.
Right. You bet. The Brahman's breed is very unique to me. I've never been involved. I've been around, but I think in terms of uniqueness, they have a unique ability. You keep going back to heat tolerance,
Mhm.
and we go back to meat quality and things like that. And I think that's to me is what I never really fully understood the breed until I got older. That they have a unique ability to transition grass to protein to a meat, probably as good as any. And I know that maybe at times the American cattle maybe get a I don't know, a little black eye because of this or because of that. But really, in terms of where those genetics are utilized, they can do something that nobody else can do.
Yeah, that's right. I'm glad you mentioned that because in every meat science class in the USA, they teach you that Brahman cattle don't marble. I was on a
Right.
meat judging team, and my meat coach would always find a roll or a rail of Brahman steers and pull me over to it and show me the quality grade. And it kind of made me mad, honestly. And that's something Brandon and I have really worked on. Like, we are breeding cattle for higher marbling. When we got married, about 20% of our herd was grading choice, but now it's over 80%. And to me, that's another huge game changer in the global beef industry, because if you could raise the Brahman cattle that can work in all those climates, but then they could always grade choice or even grade prime, like it would just blow the global beef industry up. And that's kind of the track that we're going on. And I think that's why a lot of these countries are coming to our ranch BRC, because they want both of that. They want the heat tolerance, but the high quality beef as well.
Absolutely.
Hey, and speaking about beef, Brett was mentioning it earlier to me. You guys got a box beef product that you guys
We do. We have a Brahman beef program. It's 100% Brahman beef. I actually sell the humps, the hump on the back of their animal. And that's my hottest seller. So you get 2 per calf. I sell them for $50 each. It's about 3 pounds. So it's probably my most valuable cut. And I have a huge
audience. A tender cut of meat?
We call it the brisket of the future. So it's very similar to a brisket. And it's got a lot of flavor. We ship them all over the USA. I mean, when I restock our store every Tuesday, within an hour, they sell out. It's crazy. It's really cool that we've been able to take kind of the thing that people would dock Brahmins for, when they run a Brahmin through an auction barn, you see that hump and you give them a discount. We've been able to add over $100 per head in carcass value with that. So pretty cool.
Just go ahead and mark me down for a Brahma hump. I love to cook meat. So I want on the list as next available hump. So you're going to get some hump meat.
Candace Mill types in, it's the best.
Yeah, so she's had it. She says it's great. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yep. Do you guys, Rachel, do you utilize EPDs and genomic testing and stuff?
Mm-hmm. We do. Not a lot of Brahman people do, but we do, because again, we want to put our Brahman cattle on the level of Angus or Hereford or Charolais, and so when a bull buyer comes to me, they're usually putting Brahman into a 3-breed rotation with usually Angus and Hereford or Charolais. And so they want all their bulls to be, able to be compared equally. And so the Brahman breed doesn't offer like genomic EPDs, but Brandon and I personally worked with Zoetis, and we created that genomic program for Brahmins. So we have that at our operation, and we pass that on to our customers to be part of it too. Kind of like how Leachman has their own, genomics thing, and we do that. Right. And we've really found that our customers appreciate it, because they expect that on their other breeds, and they want it on Brahmins too. Yeah.
Wow.
The thing I like about them, you ever heard one of them things, Beller, Brett?
Yes.
It's awesome.
Love it.
It's
so much deeper, and it is.
Yes. Brahmins are so smart. Like, I would love to have y'all come to Houston next year and just, people think it's easy. You fitter guys think it's easy. Like, oh, you don't have to wash them. You don't have to fit them, but like, it's hard. And you have to get the hair like perfect, we are brushing, like from January to March, we are 24 hours a day brushing these things. So
right.
It does take a lot of time.
I've always said that's why Matt Scasta has had so much success with these cattle is because
Yeah.
the kid grew up in South Texas brushing
Yeah.
on Brammers and Brangus.
Right.
So,
He had the best Brangus. That Matt was unbeatable. I mean, we showed together and their family was amazing.
right. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah.
You betcha. He's actually, we're going to have Matt on here just coming up in just a few weeks. You'll enjoy that. So,
Oh, cool.
but I got to tell you, hey, you've got quite the people over here. There's a guy just typed in there, said he's going to try that Bramer hump deal. I think we're going to sell some humps before this deal is over.
Maybe
And so,
we'll be your sponsor next week.
yeah, shoot, I don't know. I love it. I love it. Chad Phillips says Houston is the Super Bowl for Brahman cattle.
It really is.
So
Yeah.
anyway, well, that's good stuff. Well, Rachel, it's been our pleasure to have you on Cattle Drive Live. I know it's we always like interviewing people, but I feel like we've got an industry icon on here tonight. So, but
Thank you. I have been so lucky the past 20 years to work with what I think are the best people in the business, and every day is a joy to work with our clients and the people that from our club calf clients to any our business clients. I really appreciate the opportunity to do that.
good deal. I'm going to steal a Blake Muller's question was for Blake earlier. He said, "What is your favorite memory of the year?" I'm going to steal that question and pose that to you. You talk about a lifetime of ag. What is your favorite memory to this point of the things you've accomplished? What is it that sits present in your mind?
I really think it's seeing my kids do it. A couple of years ago, we made a transition from a legacy operation to starting our new operation. And when we did that, it was swift. We didn't know it was going to happen, and we really had nothing, and at that time where all of the things that I knew of the past were kind of gone, it was just me and Brandon and our two kids. My daughters were out there building our barn for us or helping, do things. And I was like, maybe at the beginning I was crying one day. I don't know why. And Molly, like my 7-year-old was like, "Molly, Mom, don't cry. We can do this. We're going to do this together," and then to look back at that and see kind of all the things that have happened over the last couple of years, like it makes me appreciate families and people are why we do what we do. I think for a lot of us, it's not so much about the ribbons or the awards or whatever, but it's about making the friendships and making those connections with people that really matter the most to me.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Well, hey, it's been our pleasure. And if you've watched us at all, we end every one of these things with what we call the Cowboys for Christ, Cattlemen for Christ. And tonight, as I was listening to you talk, and early on, you talked about thankful with your faith. And it says in Proverbs 19:20 and 21, says, "Listen to the advice and accept discipline. At the end, you will be counted among the wise. Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that will prevail." And so I just thought that so nicely tied to exactly to how you started off, how you got going. And so, but Rachel, hey, thanks for taking the time in your busy schedule to join Corey and I tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, thanks, Rachel. We learned a lot. Thanks for promoting the Brahman breed. We'll have to have you on again sometime.
Thank you.
We will report back on this Brahma hump. So expect
I feel like
tomorrow.
I learned a lot tonight, Brett.
Thank you.
Like
Yeah,
in terms of knowledge,
I did too.
I did not know a lot about that breed of cattle, and feel like we know more than we did for sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely, you bet. Well, hey, thanks, and enjoy your evening.
You too, guys. Thanks.
Take care, Rachel.